All right, diving in today, folks, we're taking a look at the roadmap for building Flowfon. It's an AI-powered call system that uses lovable.dev, this cool no-code AI site builder.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, our mission here is to break down how to plan a system like this, without being a coding whiz. And we've got this document, the projected Wicklung's plan for lovable.dev Flowfon, to guide us.
So it's sort of like a blueprint then.
Exactly. And for you, the learner, it's all about grasping quickly how to build complex tools in a structured way and seeing how different technologies can all fit together.
Gotcha.
We'll be focusing on two key stages. First, the pre-setup, where they lay the groundwork, and then the stage where they actually use lovable.dev's AI to generate the admin dashboard using these specific prompts.
Okay, so starting with the foundation before even touching the AI tools makes sense.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? Right off the bat, they emphasize this idea of careful preparation. This first phase is really about defining the why behind Flophon, what problems it's going to solve.
Like what? Give us some examples.
So think about things like getting faster responses to calls, right? Or maybe automating the whole appointment booking process. And setting measurable goals too.
Like actually being able to see the improvement.
Exactly. Like reducing the average call handling time or seeing those customer satisfaction numbers go up. It's not just about building tech for the sake of it.
Right. It has to serve a purpose.
Totally. And they also dive into the who, all the different stakeholders involved, like customer service, sales teams, management, and what their specific needs are.
So taking into account all the different users.
Yeah, like imagine a customer calls in to book something, right? The plan actually considers how an AI agent could handle that whole interaction smoothly.
That's pretty neat.
It is. And they don't stop there. They actually look at the existing IT infrastructure, like their telephony systems, any CRM they're using, to make sure everything can work together seamlessly.
So integration is a key factor.
Definitely. And here's the big one. They're addressing those legal requirements head on, specifically GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. All about handling data responsibly and call recordings and all that.
Right, because those are really important considerations these days.
Absolutely. So once they've got that foundation laid, they move on to the tech stack. And they've chosen some pretty interesting tools. There's Ultravox, which handles the AI language processing side of things.
Okay, and what else?
Then there's lovables.dev, which is what they use to build the front end, basically what the users see and interact with.
All right, and for the back end?
For the back end database, they're going with Supabase. Plus, they still need to pick a telephony provider, for handling the actual calls.
Yeah.
And for payments, they're using Stripe.
So even though it's no code, they're still dealing with all these different platforms.
Oh, for sure. And it's worth noting that even with no code, you still need to create accounts for each of those services, manage API keys securely. Those are the secret codes that let the systems talk to each other. And that's all done within lovables.dev and Supabase.
So there's still a level of technical understanding needed, even if you're not writing code from scratch.
Exactly. And speaking of Supabase, let's dig into that back end a bit.
Sure. What are they doing there?
So the plan gets into setting up a new project in Supabase and designing the whole database structure. We're talking about specific tables, like users, calls, and this is important. The calls table actually has fields for an AI-generated summary of the call and a recording girl.
Interesting. And what else?
They also have tables for prompts, logs, and billing info.
Makes sense. They need to track all that information.
Yep. And they go into configuring authentication so users can log in securely. And then there's this concept of row-level security, or RLS, which is about controlling who can access what data.
That's important for privacy and security.
Absolutely. They're even considering using Supabase storage for the call recordings and maybe some more advanced back-end functions.
So they're really taking advantage of all Supabase has to offer.
For sure. Now, on the lovables.dev side, it's all about creating that front end, that user interface. And here's the crucial part, linking it to that Supabase backend we just talked about.
Right, because they need to work together.
Exactly. And their immediate goal with lovables.dev is to use the AI to generate that admin dashboard, that control panel. But they do it in a really interesting way by using these specific prompts.
Like instructions for the AI.
Precisely. And they also recommend connecting their lovable.dev project to a GitHub repository.
It's version control, right?
Yeah, to keep track of all the changes they're making and collaborate effectively. Now, another big piece of this pre-setup phase is integrating with all those external services.
Like the telephony provider and Stripe.
Exactly. They're researching and planning how to connect to that telephony provider they haven't chosen yet, focusing on secure webhooks. Those are like automated messages that get sent between web applications when certain things happen.
I see. So it's about setting up those connections in a safe way.
Totally. And the same goes for Stripe, setting up the account, figuring out pricing models like subscriptions or usage-based payments, and planning for secure payment notifications via webhooks. Plus, of course, there's the integration with that AI language platform like Ultravox.
It's like a whole ecosystem of interconnected services.
It really is. Now, we can't forget about legal compliance, specifically GDPR. They've got a whole section dedicated to that.
Right, because we talked about that earlier.
They outline how they'll handle user rights, things like data access and deletion, how they'll minimize the amount of data they collect in the first place, set retention policies for recordings and personal data, and make sure they have those data processing agreements in place with all their service providers.
So lots of legal boxes to check.
And they're taking it seriously, which is good to see. Consent for call recording is another big one.
Of course, you have to be transparent about that.
Totally. So all this meticulous preparation leads us to phase 2, which is all about using lovable prompts to actually build that admin dashboard. And the plan gets pretty specific here.
Like how so?
Well, they provide an example of what they call a basis prompt. It's like the initial instruction to the AI. And it tells the AI about the tech stack they're using, things like React and TypeScript for the front end, Supabase for the back end, and then it lists out all the core features they need, like user login, call logs, all that stuff.
So they're giving the AI a clear starting point.
Exactly. And then they take it a step further and show how you can use more specific prompts to create individual components of the dashboard.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure, they describe how to create the call log interface, where it shows you the call start and end times, details about who was on the call, and gives you options to filter and sort all that information.
Handy. What other components do they cover?
Oh, they go into prompts for managing those AI agents, and the specific prompts that the agents use to interact with callers. Then there are prompts for managing user accounts, displaying billing information, setting up navigation, ensuring secure logins, and making sure everything's locked down, and then creating that main dashboard overview that shows key performance indicators.
So a really granular step-by-step approach.
It is. And I think the big takeaway here, the big aha moment for the learner, is that building an AI-powered system, even with these no-code tools, requires a really detailed and structured planning phase before you even start using the AI to generate code. It's about understanding the problem you're solving, the data you'll be working with, the legal landscape you're operating in, and how all these technologies are going to connect and work together.
I completely agree. It's like that old saying, measure twice, cut once. You've got to have that solid foundation before you start building.
And for you, the learner, it really makes you think, right, how could you apply this meticulous planning process to your own projects, even if they don't involve AI? With seemingly small detail, if you really thought it through early on, could have a huge impact down the road, saving you tons of headaches and making sure you end up with a much more solid, less complex outcome. Food for thought.